Thank you. My name is Ashok Srinivasan. I work as a manager in the Maritime Safety and Security Department at BIMCO, and BIMCO is the largest shipping organization in the world. As you see here in this conference, the biggest challenges that is facing our industry today is the challenge of decarbonization and digitalization, and that is what the theme of the conference itself is. On that, BIMCO has done already quite some work on it. If you look at the decarbonization, we have developed a number of clauses. For the EU ETS, we have about 5 clauses already developed for the shipping industry, 3 for the voyage chartering, 1 for time chartering, and 1 for the shipman contract. And we have developed similar contracts for the CII, and the newest fuel EU maritime clauses are also being worked upon. So there's quite a bit of work we've done on the EU ETS itself. But also on the ship recycling, BIMCO has worked very closely with the IMO and also with some of the member states, which are the biggest ship recycling countries. We've encouraged them to ratify the convention, and the convention, which is now ratified and will come into force next year. We've also identified a legal uncertainty between 2 conventions, the Ship Recycling Convention and the Basel Convention. We have highlighted that to the IMO and a number of member states, and that is also positively being looked upon. So that is something we are doing in decarbonization. On digitalization, last week the IMO just completed the FAL meeting. In that we have proposed a new digital strategy or strategic direction, as IMO calls it, and in that we've proposed to have that strategy, which has been positively received as well, and that work will happen in the next editions of the Maritime Safety Committee and also the FAL Committee and the other committees. And we are working with a number of member states, especially Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore. We're working with them on the maritime single window work. So there's a lot of things that BIMCO is already involved with on those. But the challenge that is there on our hands right now is the challenge of the Red Sea. Very unexpected, but you can see from November last year, a number of seafarers, ships and seafarers are being affected, ships are being diverted. So that to me is the real challenge at hand right now. We need to solve that pretty quickly because that can escalate quite a bit. So yeah, so we've got a few work. Even there, we've been advising our members and the general maritime shipping on what to do in terms of coming out with action points that they can take, but also generally on advice on what they can do. So yeah, there's been quite a few things that we've been doing. Thank you. I mean, we've seen that the Red Sea crisis has started in November, and it is affecting international shipping quite a bit. We already see that the number of ships entering the Red Sea has reduced a lot. A lot is being diverted. We already know the issues that are happening with ships being diverted, getting delayed, and that means more emissions because now the ships are doing longer routes. It also means more ships are coming to transport the same cargo. So again, more emissions. These are the things that we already know about, and these are the issues that's facing, if I may say, the Western world. But there are also countries in the region that are getting affected, and countries such as Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Saudi Arabia, for example, they have to take their cargo. They have ports in the Red Sea which are affected heavily, so they have to divert those. Saudi Arabia, for example, have to divert it to the Persian Gulf and take it from ports like Ras Tanura or Dammam, and Egypt has to do the same in ports in the Mediterranean. So there is that big rerouting that they have to do. They can do that for the containers, but for the other cargoes it's quite a bit difficult to do it. But then if you also look at countries which are in the region, in the Red Seas, countries such as Sudan, Somalia and Eritrea, they don't even have the option to divert the ships to any other places. So they have really been affected. So, and these countries also rely on international aid. So they have to now wait for those aid a little longer because ships are being diverted. So there is a lot of disruption that has happened in the region and around the world, and it may. We don't know. It's a very politically motivated scenario, so we don't know how long will it go, but we do hope that it will stop as soon as possible, and that is actually the best case scenario, that it stops as soon as possible, and even that will take a few weeks to reset. But if you take the worst case scenario, it can take a while because the Houthis are attacking or claiming to attack ships with links to Israelis, the US and the UK. but they can increase that list to other countries, and they can start attacking ships linked to other countries. They can also start attacking ships that are outside the region, say for example the Indian Ocean or out into the Arabian Sea. That can disrupt ships, and that can make ships even go take a bigger route around. So yeah, we hope we don't go to the worst case scenario, but you never know. So when you say future talents, I can look at seafarers, because seafarers are the center of our industry, because our industry is run by ships. Ships make the world go, and seafarers are the ones that are running the ships, so they are the center of this workforce. And I think seafarers are the ones we have to really uplift. We have to make the seafaring career look cool. Only then we can attract more talent. But what's happening is right now we are actually doing the opposite. If you look at what the media is doing, if you look at what number of countries are doing, we are calling the seafarers as those that are polluting our oceans. We are calling them as drug smugglers. We are calling them as people that create accidents. So we basically are criminalizing seafarers, and that needs to stop to start with. And we have to actually look at the good things that seafarers are doing. What BIMCO has done is every 5 years we come out with a seafarer workforce report. It studies the number of seafarers that are being supplied by countries. It looks at the demand of seafarers, and we see where the gap lies. Is there more? Is there less? And that sort of thing. We have also been working with IMO to gain the key worker status for seafarers. Now, if you look at the COVID, seafarers were basically not allowed to move from the ships or go to the ships from home, and a number of countries came to their help, of course, but at the same time there was a lot of disruption in their movements. So the UN came out with the resolution to encourage countries to give them seafarer key worker status for seafarers. But if you look at it today, so far, only about 60 odd countries have actually done it. 60 out of about 200 countries. So that needs to change. We need to actually give them the priority. If you look at the airport, just compare seafarers with the people that work on the aircraft. If you look at the airport, the pilots, when they are moving in the airport, the pilots or even the cabin crew, they are just given the priority. They don't even have to stand in any queue. They just go. But look at seafarers. They have to not only stand in the queue, in some countries they got to stand in a longer queue. And I have actually been a seafarer, and I can tell you in some countries they're not even allowed to pass the immigration on their own. They have to wait for the agents to come and escort them from the place and then take them to the ships. So that to me is almost treating them in a not very fair manner. So I think that is something that needs to change first. And we have to start making them look, the profession itself, look cooler. Only then you can attract more talent. So we have to look at their well-being, we have to look at their safety, of course, but also look at their work conditions and uplift them, and only then you can have more seafarers. Because on one hand, we want the best of the people to come and work on the ships, because our ships are multi-million-dollar assets, but on the other hand, we're not really treating them well. So I think we need to change. We need to show the good things that seafarers are doing, because only then we can attract more talent. Like I said, seafarers, ships are the center, seafarers are the core of our industry, and I think in everything every country or government or any stakeholder is doing, put the seafarers at the core of everything. If you do that, you can have a much more sustainable future. The industry can be much more sustainable, and we can have a better industry, and we can also have more seafarers joining us. So to me, I think the message I would give them is treat our seafarers with a lot more respect, and start telling the world about the good things that seafarers are doing, and that will help our industry.